Hi, I'm Jean Shum, and I'm excited to welcome you to What's the Deal? Real talk for real times, sponsored by Operation Parent. Today we'll be talking about the subject of sexting. Today we're going to be talking about sexting. And with me today is Mary Beth Uberti, Director of Program Development here at Operation Parent. Mary Beth is also a life coach and a mom of 2 children and has been talking a lot lately out in the community and beyond about the topic of sexting. So Mary Beth, let's just talk and define what is sexting.
Sexting is taking photos, videos of sexual nature, semi-nude, nude, sexual activity, and sending them via electronic means, whether it's using a cell phone, computers, whatever the mean is, but it's sending and receiving and distributing those types of products, those types of pictures.
Well, I think recently I heard of a kind of a sexting scandal that took place about a month ago out in Colorado. Can you tell us any more about what happened out there at that high school?
Yeah, and Colorado is not just the only place it occurs, but this one was pretty big. What was happening, there was photos being taken, some even on campus. Seemed like, from what I could understand and hear, that they were photos fully nude, being sent then as text and saved to phones, where some of the kids were actually collecting them and in some cases trading them and distributing them. So it was going on for quite a while before, I'm not sure how it came to light that this was occurring and a stop was put to it.
So how about the parents that were involved indirectly with this? Was there an easy way that they may have picked up some clues if they looked at their child's cell phone? Or
what was happening was, not all kids, but some of the kids were hiding the photos. So there are hidden apps that are available that you can download from the App Store. So things like a calculator, a photo manager, there's different products that are out there. So if a parent was checking the phone, they may have picked it up, looked through the apps, seen maybe multiple calculators, but not necessarily realizing that some of these weren't real calculators. But when you actually touch on the app itself, you know, a calculator or a photo manager opens up and it looks like a real product. So you can use the calculator and everything. The thing that the kids were doing was entering then a special code which would unlock it. And inside of that was where the photos were actually stored. So would a parent have seen them? Possibly not, and then maybe that was what was aiding the fact that they were getting around it for quite a while.
so Mary Beth, what are some of the reasons a child might do this?
Yeah, there was a survey done for teenage girls, you know, what were the reasons why are they doing it? And for the majority of them, it was the shock value. They were doing it to shock somebody, shock friends, make them laugh. Not, you know, not a sexual interest involved in it, just to do it. Then there's the segment of the kids that are doing it because they're romantically interested in somebody, or they're just attracted to somebody and it's a form of flirting. So they might send it to a romantic interest, they might send it to a kid that they like, and then they get sent out from there on. But then there is that smaller percentage of kids that are doing it because they've kind of been forced into it. Maybe they sent a sext and somebody got a hold of it and is asking for more, or they'll release the one that they have more broadly on the internet. Or they're being forced into it from their romantic partner. You know, they keep asking and they feel pressure to do it. So there's a variety of reasons.
And this conversation, as you're saying, it reminds me of things I've heard you say before about the teen brain is not fully developed. And I think it's a good time to remind parents that because their brain is still in development, sometimes they do impulsive things without even thinking about the long-term consequences.
Yeah, exactly. With the adolescent brain, while it's going through this massive reconstruction and development, you know, the front cortex of the brain, the frontal cortex, is last to fully develop. And we now know that's around 23 to 25 years of age before it's fully developed. But that's the portion of the brain that actually can see long-term consequences, can make judgments, can control the emotions. And when you're in the state, you know, when you're in that adolescent phase, your risk and reward is actually kicking off a lot sooner. So they might think, you know, this is going to be funny, this is going to be risky, and the judgment segment of the brain just hasn't fully developed yet to say, hey, you know, there's some long-term implications here that you may want to think about.
Well, let's walk through a scenario. Let's say that my 8th grade daughter comes home today from school. Can you help me figure out a way to open up that communication with her? And then, if she were to have something on her phone that she felt comfortable enough to share with me, what does a parent do? What do I do?
Yeah, there's a couple things you really need to do as a parent in talking about this. Number one, you just start the conversation as, what do you know about sexting? You may be surprised. They may know quite a bit. They may have already seen pictures, received them. And it's really important as a parent not to freak out. You know, stay calm. You want them to know that you're approachable, that you're a safe person to come to. So, you know, just have the conversation, but it's really critical that we as parents talk to our kids about the legal issues of it, because there are some very strong legal implications to this, and that is important to discuss with your children too. But ask them, you know, have you received sext? Would you know what to do if you received one? And have these conversations with them so that you're giving them tools to handle it if and when it occurs. So it's a conversation that goes on multiple times.
And what would we be telling our children they should do if they receive a sext?
If they receive a sext, you know, granted, they're going to be curious, you know, if they're going to look at it, delete it. Please don't forward it on. Here's the thing you have to understand. This is child pornography in most states. When the person that is taking the photo is under the age of 18 in most states, in the state of Kentucky, that's child pornography. And so if your child receives that image, and it is of a child that is under the age of 18, they have a couple options at that moment. Number one, they can look at it and delete it, which is ideal. That's what you want them to do, delete it. They can choose to keep it on their phone and not share it, but that's the problem is then that's actually possession of child pornography because they're holding it. Then their other option is to send it out, which unfortunately is what a lot of kids do. They pass it on. So they will send it, they will forward it on, and that's actually distribution of child pornography. The person who takes the photo, they have created child pornography. And when they send it, they're distributing child pornography. So in certain states, the legal implications are really adult oriented. We don't have sexting laws in the state of Kentucky, and so sexting law says we'll treat it as a juvenile offense. We will deal with it as a juvenile issue. So, and we don't have those laws in our state.
And what does that mean if it's treated as that type of an offense?
As a juvenile?
Yes.
For a lot of states, like there's some states have already passed sexting laws. So what they'll do is say, okay, these are juveniles. They have created, sent, distributed these images. So we're going to deal with it as, you know, education, maybe community service, get the parents involved in the education, make sure that they understand how to monitor this better and help them out. And then it's kind of taken care of. In a lot of the states that don't have sexting laws, it's child pornography, which if convicted, they can be registered sex offender for life.
Wow.
So the implications are a lot bigger in those states, and Kentucky being one of them.
Well, I think you certainly illustrated the reason why we need to be talking to our children about this. And it sounds like a conversation any parent really can have. It's just having that awareness and asking them, what do you know about sexting? Have you ever received it? Are there any warning signs or anything way for us to know that there's an issue going on here? Either they've sent something or received something?
You know, it's kind of hard because, you know, in some kids' minds, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
You know, so will they be hiding it? Sure, they will be hiding it. Are there any clear warning signs? Probably not. Other than they're taking their phone maybe someplace and hiding, but in a lot of cases the kids are taking their phones normally because they just want to have private conversations. So you've got to just really keep that door to conversation open. Be aware that they may come to you and say, okay, somebody sent me this. And our first inclination as a parent is to say, okay, that's it, we're taking the phone and we're done. But for a lot of the kids, that is their main communication with their friends. You take that phone and now you're no longer safe to go to. So I really caution parents, if your child comes to you and says, okay, I'm a little bit freaked out about this got sent to me, please don't freak out with them and don't freak out on them. They told you, you know, so say, you know, thanks a lot for telling me. And if they're in high school, later middle school, how do you want to handle it? And if you've already had these conversations, they have some ideas on how to handle it. Number one is delete it. Number two is send a text to the person who sent it to you and say, hey, you know, Mom and Dad check my phone on a regular basis. You probably don't want to do this. Don't send that to me again. And it'll stop it. But thank them for doing it. And if you suspect your child is sexting, then you really need to sit down, go through the phone, talk to them, pay attention to what apps are on their phone. You know, the phone comes with one calculator. It doesn't come with 2 or 3. So if you have multiple calculators on the phone, some of them probably aren't real. They're probably a hidden app or multiple photo managers. But really keep the conversation moving as they get into romantic relationships and they're exploring their sexuality. You really need to continue to have the conversations.
Thanks, Mary Beth. We've learned a lot here today, and parents, I hope that you'll take a few moments after this and visit our website, operationparent.org, where you might be able to find some contracts that can be used as you talk to your children about this topic and several others. Keep parenting.